Jalāl ad-Dīn Muhammad Rūmī, Persian, also known as Jalāl ad-Dīn Muhammad Balkhī, Mawlānā, our master, Mevlânâ, Mevlevî, Mawlā, my master, and more popularly simply as Rūmī, 1207 December 17, 1273, was a 13th century Persian poet, jurist, Islamic scholar, theologian, and Sufi mystic. Rumi's influence transcends national borders and ethnic divisions. Iranians, Tajiks, Turkish, Greeks, Pashtuns, other Central Asian Muslims, and the Muslims of South Asia have greatly appreciated his spiritual legacy for the past 7 centuries. His poems have been widely translated into many of the world's languages and transposed into various formats. Rumi has been described as the most popular poet and the best-selling poet in the United States. Rumi's works are written mostly in Persian, but occasionally he also used Greek, Arabic, and Turkish in his verse. His Mawlānā, composed in Konya, remains one of the purest literary glories of the Persian language. His works are widely read today in their original language across Greater Iran and the Persian-speaking world. Translations of his works are very popular, most notably in Turkey, Azerbaijan, the United States, and South Asia. His poetry has influenced Persian literature, but also Turkish, Punjabi, Hindi, and Urdu, as well as the literature of some other Turkic, Iranian, and Indo-Aryan languages including Chagatai, Pashto, and Bengali. His full name is Jalāl ad-Dīn Muhammad Balkhī, Persian pronunciation, ad-Dīn Muhammad Balkhī, or Jalāl ad-Dīn Muhammad Rūmī, Persian pronunciation, ad-Dīn Muhammad Rūmī. He is widely known by the sobriquet Mawlānā, Persian pronunciation, Mawlānā, in Iran and popularly known as Mevlânâ in Turkey, but also Turkish, Jalāl Muhammad Balkhī, Jalāl Muhammad Rūmī, and Mevlevî in modern Turkish. Mawlānā means our master in the Arabic language. According to the authoritative Rumi biographer Franklin Lewis of the University of Chicago, the Anatolian Peninsula, which had belonged to the Byzantine, or Eastern Roman Empire, had only relatively recently been conquered by Muslims, and even when it came to be controlled by Turkish Muslim rulers, it was still known to Arabs, Persians, and Turks as the geographical area of Rum. As such, there are a number of historical personages born in or associated with Anatolia known as Rumi, a word borrowed from Arabic literally meaning Roman, in which context Roman refers to subjects of the Byzantine Empire or simply to people living in or things associated with Anatolia. The terms Mawlānā, Persian, and Mevlevî, Turkish, which mean my master in Arabic, are more often used for him. Rumi was born to native Persian-speaking parents, originally from the Balkh city of Khorasan, in present-day Afghanistan. He was born either in Wakshar, a village located on the Vakshar River in the Greater Balkh region in present-day Tajikistan, or in the city of Balkh, located in present-day Afghanistan. Greater Balkh was at that time a major center of Persian culture, and Sufism had developed there for several centuries. Indeed, the most important influences upon Rumi, besides his father, are said to be the Persian poets Attar and Sinai. Rumi in one poem express his appreciation. Attar was the spirit, Sinai his eyes twain, and in time thereafter, came we in their train, and mentions in another poem, Attar has traversed the 7 cities of love, we are still at the turn of one street. His father was also connected to the spiritual lineage of Najm al-Din Kubra. He lived most of his life under the Persianate Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, where he produced his works, and died in 1273 AD. He was buried in Konya, and his shrine became a place of pilgrimage. Following his death, his followers and his son Sultan Walid founded the Mevlevî order, also known as the Order of the Whirling Dervishes, famous for its Sufi dance known as the Sama ceremony. He was laid to rest beside his father, and over his remains a splendid shrine was erected. A hagiographical account of him is described in Shams-ud-Din Ahmad Afulki's Manqib ul-Rifn, written between 1318 and 1353. This hagiographical account of his biography needs to be treated with care, as it contains both legends and facts about Rumi. For example, Professor Franklin Lewis, University of Chicago, in the most complete biography on Rumi has a separate section for the hagiographical biography on Rumi and actual biography about him. Rumi's father was Ba'uddin Walid, a theologian, jurist, and a mystic from Balkh, who was also known by the followers of Rumi as Sultan al-Ulama or Sultan of the Scholars. The popular hagiographer assertions that have claimed the family's descent from the Caliph Abu Bakr does not hold on closer examination and is rejected by modern scholars. The claim of maternal descent from the Khwarezm Shah for Rumi or his father is also seen as a non-historical hagiographical tradition designed to connect the family with royalty, but this claim is rejected for chronological and historical reasons. The most complete genealogy offered for the family stretches back to 6 or 7 generations to famous Hanafi jurists. We do not learn the name of Baha al-Din's mother in the sources, but only that he referred to her as my, colloquial Persian for me, and that she was a simple woman and that she lived in the 13th century. The mother of Rumi was Mumina Kha with Makron Tn. The profession of the family for several generations was that of Islamic preachers of the liberal Hanafi rite, and this family tradition was continued by Rumi, see his Fi'i Mafi and 7 sermons, and Sultan Walid, see Marif Walidi for examples of his everyday sermons and lectures. When the Mongols invaded Central Asia sometime between 1215 and 1220, Baha'u'ddin Walid, with his whole family and a group of disciples, set out westwards. According to hagiographical account which is not agreed upon by all Rumi scholars, Rumi encountered one of the most famous mystic Persian poets, Attar, in the Iranian city of Nishapur, located in the province of Khorasan. Attar immediately recognized Rumi's spiritual eminence. He saw the father walking ahead of the son and said, "Here comes a sea followed by an ocean." This quote needs a citation. He gave the boy his Asrunma, a book about the entanglement of the soul in the material world. This meeting had a deep impact on the 18-year-old Rumi and later on became the inspiration for his works. From Nishapur, Walid and his entourage set out for Baghdad, meeting many of the scholars and Sufis of the city. From Baghdad they went to Hejaz and performed the pilgrimage at Mecca. The migrating caravan then passed through Damascus, Malatya, Erzincan, Shivas, Kayseri, and Nigd. They finally settled in Karaman for 7 years. Rumi's mother and brother both died there. In 1225, Rumi married Gauhar Khatun in Karaman. They had 2 sons, Sultan Walid and Ala-eddin Chalabi. When his wife died, Rumi married again and had a son, Amir Alim Chalabi, and a daughter, Malakeh Khatun. On May 1, 1228, most likely as a result of the insistent invitation of Uluddin Kikabd, ruler of Anatolia, Baha'u'ddin came and finally settled in Konya in Anatolia within the westernmost territories of the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. Baha'u'ddin became the head of a madrasa, religious school, and when he died, Rumi, aged 25, inherited his position as the Islamic Mawlānā. One of Baha'u'ddin's students, Sayyid Burhanuddin Muhakkik Tirmizi, continued to train Rumi in the Sharia as well as the Tariqa, especially that of Rumi's father. For 9 years, Rumi practiced Sufism as a disciple of Burhanuddin until the latter died in 1240 or 1241. Rumi's public life then began. He became an Islamic jurist, issuing fatwas and giving sermons in the mosques of Konya. He also served as a Mawlānā, Islamic teacher, and taught his adherents in the madrasa. During this period, Rumi also traveled to Damascus and is said to have spent 4 years there. It was his meeting with the dervish Shamsi Tabrizi on November 15, 1244 that completely changed his life. From an accomplished teacher and jurist, Rumi was transformed into an ascetic. Shams had traveled throughout the Middle East searching and praying for someone who could endure my company. A voice said to him, "What will you give in return?" Shams replied, "My head." The voice then said, "The one you seek is Jalaluddin of Konya." On the night of December 5, 1248, as Rumi and Shams were talking, Shams was called to the back door. He went out, never to be seen again. It is rumored that Shams was murdered with the connivance of Rumi's son, Alauddin. If so, Shams indeed gave his head for the privilege of mystical friendship. Rumi's love for, and his bereavement at the death of, Shams found their expression in an outpouring of lyric poems, Divan-i Shams-i Tabrizi. He himself went out searching for Shams and journeyed again to Damascus. There, he realized, "Why should I seek? I am the same as he. His essence speaks through me. I have been looking for myself." Mawlānā had been spontaneously composing ghazals, Persian poems, and these had been collected in the Divan-i-Kabir or Diwan Shams Tabrizi. Rumi found another companion in Salah-ud-Din Zarkub, a goldsmith. After Salah-ud-Din's death, Rumi's scribe and favorite student, Husam-i Chalabi, assumed the role of Rumi's companion. One day, the two of them were wandering through the Maram vineyards outside Konya when Husam described to Rumi an idea he had had: if you were to write a book like the Ilma of Sinai or the Mantiq-ut-Tayr of Attar, it would become the companion of many troubadours. They would fill their hearts from your work and compose music to accompany it. Rumi smiled and took out a piece of paper on which were written the opening 18 lines of his Masnavi, beginning with, "Listen to the reed and the tale it tells. How it sings of separation." Husam implored Rumi to write more. Rumi spent the next 12 years of his life in Anatolia dictating the 6 volumes of this masterwork, the Masnavi, to Husam. In December 1273, Rumi fell ill. He predicted his own death and composed the well-known ghazal, which begins with the verse, "How doest thou know what sort of king I have within me as companion? Do not cast thy glance upon my golden face, for I have iron legs." Rumi died on December 17, 1273 in Konya. His body was interred beside that of his father, and a splendid shrine, the Yeşil Turbe, Green Tomb, today the Mevlânâ Museum, was erected over his place of burial. His epitaph reads, "When we are dead, seek not our tomb in the earth, but find it in the hearts of men." Georgian Queen Gurku Hatun was a patron and a close friend of Rumi. She was the one who sponsored the construction of his tomb in Konya. The 13th century Mevlânâ Mausoleum, with its mosque, dance hall, dervish living quarters, school, and tombs of some leaders of the Mevlevî order, continues to this day to draw pilgrims from all parts of the Muslim and non-Muslim world. Jalāl al-Din, who is also known as Rumi, was a philosopher and mystic of Islam. His doctrine advocates unlimited tolerance, positive reasoning, goodness, charity, and awareness through love. To him and to his disciples all religions are more or less truth. Looking with the same eye on Muslim, Jew, and Christian alike, his peaceful and tolerant teaching has appealed to people of all sects and creeds. The general theme of Rumi's thought, like that of other mystic and Sufi poets of Persian literature, is essentially that of the concept of Tawhid, union with his beloved, the primal root, from whom he has been cut off and become aloof, and his longing and desire to restore it. The Masnavi weaves fables, scenes from everyday life, Quranic revelations and exegesis, and metaphysics into a vast and intricate tapestry. In the East, it is said of him that he was not a prophet, but surely, he has brought a scripture. Rumi believed passionately in the use of music, poetry, and dance as a path for reaching God. For Rumi, music helped devotees to focus their whole being on the divine, and to do this so intensely that the soul was both destroyed and resurrected. It was from these ideas that the practice of whirling dervishes developed into a ritual form. His teachings became the base for the order of the Mevlevî, which his son Sultan Walid organized. Rumi encouraged Sama, listening to music and turning or doing the sacred dance. In the Mevlevî tradition, Sam represents a mystical journey of spiritual ascent through mind and love to the Perfect One. In this journey, the seeker symbolically turns towards the truth, grows through love, abandons the ego, finds the truth, and arrives at the perfect. The seeker then returns from this spiritual journey, with greater maturity, to love and to be of service to the whole of creation without discrimination with regard to beliefs, races, classes, and nations. In other verses in the Masnavi, Rumi describes in detail the universal message of love. The lover's cause is separate from all other causes. Love is the astrolabe of God's mysteries. Rumi's favorite musical instrument was the reed flute. Rumi's poetry is often divided into various categories: the quatrains, rubaiyat, and odes, ghazal, of the divan, the 6 books of the Masnavi. The prose works are divided into the discourses, the letters, and the 7 sermons. Poetic works. Rumi's major work is the Mawlānā, Spiritual Couplets, a 6-volume poem regarded by some Sufis 49 as the Persian language Quran. It is considered by many to be one of the greatest works of mystical poetry. 50. It contains approximately 27,000 lines of Persian poetry. Further information, Masnavi. Rumi's other major work is the Dwa with Mawlānā Kabr, Great Work, or Dwa with Mawlānā Shamsi Tajiks, the works of Shams of Tabriz, named in honor of Rumi's master Shams. Besides approximately 35,000 Persian couplets and 2,000 Persian quatrains, the divan contains 90 ghazals and 19 quatrains in Arabic, a couple of dozen or so couplets in Turkish, mainly macaronic poems of mixed Persian and Turkish, and 14 couplets in Greek, all of them in 3 macaronic poems of Greek-Persian. Prose works. Fi'i ma fi'i, in it what's in it, Persian, provides a record of 71 talks and lectures given by Rumi on various occasions to his disciples. It was compiled from the notes of his various disciples, so Rumi did not author the work directly. An English translation from the Persian was first published by A.J. Arbery as Discourses of Rumi, New York, Samuel Weiser, 1972, and a translation of the second book by Wheeler Thaxton, Sign of the Unseen, Putney, V.T., Threshold Books, 1994. The style of the Fi'i ma fi'i is colloquial and meant for middle-class men and women, and lack the sophisticated wordplay. Majlis Saba, 7 sessions, Persian, contains 7 Persian sermons, as the name implies, or lectures given in 7 different assemblies. The sermons themselves give a commentary on the deeper meaning of Quran and Hadith. The sermons also include quotations from poems of Sana'i, Attar, and other poets, including Rumi himself. As a flock relates, after Shamsi Tajiks, Rumi gave sermons at the request of notables, especially Salh al-Din Zarqb. The style of Persian is rather simple, but quotation of Arabic and knowledge of history and the Hadith show Rumi's knowledge in the Islamic sciences. His style is typical of the genre of lectures given by Sufis and spiritual teachers. Makatib, the letters, Persian, is the book containing Rumi's letters in Persian to his disciples, family members, and men of state and of influence. The letters testify that Rumi kept very busy helping family members and administering a community of disciples that had grown up around them. Unlike the Persian style of the previous 2 mentioned works, which are lectures and sermons, the letters is consciously sophisticated and epistolar, which is in conformity with the expectations of correspondence directed to nobles, statesmen, and kings. Philosophical outlook. Rumi was an evolutionary thinker in the sense that he believed that the spirit after devolution from the divine ego undergoes an evolutionary process by which it comes nearer and nearer to the same divine ego. All matter in the universe obeys this law, and this movement is due to an inbuilt urge, which Rumi calls love, to evolve and seek enjoyment with the divinity from which it has emerged. Evolution into a human being from an animal is only one stage in this process. The doctrine of the fall of Adam is reinterpreted as the devolution of the ego from the universal ground of divinity and is a universal, cosmic phenomenon. The French philosopher Henri Bergson's idea of life being creative and evolutionary is similar, though unlike Bergson, Rumi believes that there is a specific goal to the process, the attainment of God. For Rumi, God is the ground as well as the goal of all existence. However, Rumi need not be considered a biological evolutionary creationist. In view of the fact that Rumi lived hundreds of years before Darwin, and was least interested in scientific theories, it is probable to conclude that he does not deal with biological evolution at all. Rather, he is concerned with the spiritual evolution of a human being. Man not conscious of God is akin to an animal, and true consciousness makes him divine. Nicholson has seen this as a Neoplatonic doctrine, the universal soul working through the various spheres of being, a doctrine introduced into Islam by Muslim philosophers like Al-Farabi and being related at the same time to Ibn Sina's idea of love as the magnetically working power by which life is driven into an upward trend. Rumi's poetry forms the basis of much classical Iranian and Afghan music, Eastern Persian, Tajik Hazaram music. Citation needed. Contemporary classical interpretations of his poetry are made by Muhammad Reza Shajarian, Shahram Naziri, Dawood Azad, the three from Iran, and Ustad Muhammad Hashim Cheshti, Afghanistan. To many modern Westerners, his teachings are one of the best introductions to the philosophy and practice of Sufism. In the West, Shahram Shiva has been teaching, performing and sharing the translations of the poetry of Rumi for nearly 20 years and has been instrumental in spreading Rumi's legacy in the English-speaking parts of the world. Pakistan's national poet, Muhammad Iqbal, was also inspired by Rumi's works and considered him to be his spiritual leader, addressing him as Per Rumi in his poems. The honorific Per literally means old man, but in the Sufi/mystic context it means founder, master, or guide. Shahram Shiva asserts that Rumi is able to verbalize the highly personal and often confusing world of personal growth and development in a very clear and direct fashion. He does not offend anyone, and he includes everyone. Today Rumi's poems can be heard in churches, synagogues, Zen monasteries, as well as in the downtown New York art/performance/music scene. According to Professor Majid M. Naini, Rumi's life and transformation provide true testimony and proof that people of all religions and backgrounds can live together in peace and harmony. Rumi's visions, words, and life teach us how to reach inner peace and happiness so we can finally stop the continual stream of hostility and hatred and achieve true global peace and harmony. Rumi's work has been translated into many of the world's languages, including Russian, German, Urdu, Turkish, Arabic, Bengali, French, Italian, and Spanish, and is being presented in a growing number of formats, including concerts, workshops, readings, dance performances, and other artistic creations. 75 The English interpretations of Rumi's poetry by Coleman Barks have sold more than 500,000 copies worldwide, and Rumi is one of the most widely read poets in the United States. Shahram Shiva book Rending the Veil, Literal and Poetic Translations of Rumi, 1995, Home Press, is the recipient of the Benjamin Franklin Award. Recordings of Rumi poems have made it to the USA's Billboard's Top 20 list. A selection of American author Deepak Chopra's editing of the translations by Faridown Kia of Rumi's love poems has been performed by Hollywood personalities such as Madonna, Goldie Hawn, Philip Glass, and Demi Moore. There is a famous landmark in northern India, known as Rumi Gate, situated in Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh, named for Rumi. Say all in Persian. Even if Arabic is better, love will find its way through all languages on its own. These cultural, historical, and linguistic ties between Rumi and Iran have made Rumi an iconic Iranian poet, and some of the most important Rumi scholars including Foruzanfar, Naini, Sabzwari, etc., have come from modern Iran. Rumi's poetry is displayed on the walls of many cities across Iran, sung in Persian music, and read in school books. Mawlānā Sufi order. The Mawlānā Sufi order was founded in 1273 by Rumi's followers after his death. His first successor in the rectorship of the order was Husam Chalabi himself, after whose death in 1284 Rumi's younger and only surviving son, Sultan Walid, died 1312, popularly known as author of the mystical Manorabdma, or the Book of the Rabab, was installed as Grand Master of the order. The leadership of the order has been kept within Rumi's family in Konya uninterruptedly since then. The Mawlānā Sufis, also known as whirling dervishes, believe in performing their dhikr in the form of sama. During the time of Rumi, as attested in the Manqib ul Refn of Aflakeh, his followers gathered for musical and turning practices. According to tradition, Rumi was himself a notable musician who played the rab, although his favorite instrument was the ney or reed flute. The music accompanying the sam consists of settings of poems from the Mana and Dwa with Makran and Kabr, or of Sultan Walid's poems. The Mawlawī was a well-established Sufi order in the Ottoman Empire, and many of the members of the order served in various official positions of the caliphate. The center for the Mevlevî was in Konya. There is also a Mawlānā monastery, Darg, in Istanbul near the Galata Tower, in which the Sam is performed and accessible to the public. The Mawlānā order issues an invitation to people of all backgrounds. During Ottoman times, the Mevlevî produced a number of notable poets and musicians, including Sheikh Galib, Ismail Rusui Deed of Ankara, Esrar Deed, Halit Efendi, and Gafsi Deed, who are all buried at the Galata Mevlânâ, Turkish, Mevlevî Hane, in Istanbul. 86 Music, especially that of the Ni, plays an important part in the Mevlevî. With the foundation of the modern, secular Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk removed religion from the sphere of public policy and restricted it exclusively to that of personal morals, behavior, and faith. On December 13, 1925, a law was passed closing all the teks, or tekke, dervish lodges, and zwiyas, chief dervish lodges, and the centers of veneration to which pilgrimages, ziyarah, were made. Istanbul alone had more than 250 teks as well as small centers for gatherings of various fraternities. This law dissolved the Sufi orders, prohibited the use of mystical names, titles, and costumes pertaining to their titles, impounded the order's assets, and banned their ceremonies and meetings. The law also provided penalties for those who tried to re-establish the orders. 2 years later, in 1927, the mausoleum of Mevlânâ in Konya was allowed to reopen as a museum. In the 1950s, the Turkish government began allowing the whirling dervishes to perform once a year in Konya. The Mawlānā festival is held over 2 weeks in December. Its culmination is on December 17, the Urs of Mawlānā, anniversary of Rumi's death, called Abrs, Persian meaning nuptial night, the night of Rumi's union with God. In 1974, the whirling dervishes were permitted to travel to the West for the first time. In 2005, UNESCO proclaimed the Mevlevî Sama ceremony of Turkey as one of the masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. Religious denomination. According to Edward G. Brown, the 3 most prominent mystical Persian poets Rumi, Sinai, and Attar were all Sunni Muslims, and their poetry abounds with praise for the first 2 caliphs Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab. According to Anne-Marie Schimmel, the tendency among Shia authors to include leading mystical poets such as Rumi and Attar among their own ranks, became stronger after the introduction of Twelver Shia as the state religion in the Safavid Empire in 1501. 800th anniversary celebrations. In Afghanistan, Rumi is known as Mawlānā, in Turkey as Mevlânâ, and in Iran as Malaf. At the proposal of the permanent delegations of Afghanistan, Iran, and Turkey, and as approved by its Executive Board and General Conference in conformity with its mission of constructing in the minds of men the defenses of peace, UNESCO was associated with the celebration, in 2007, of the 800th anniversary of Rumi's birth. The commemoration at UNESCO itself took place on September 6, 2007. UNESCO issued a medal in Rumi's name in the hope that it would prove an encouragement to those who are engaged in research on and dissemination of Rumi's ideas and ideals, which would, in turn, enhance the diffusion of the ideals of UNESCO. The Afghan Ministry of Culture and Youth established a national committee, which organized an international seminar to celebrate the birth and life of the great ethical philosopher and world-renowned poet. This grand gathering of the intellectuals, diplomats, and followers of Mawlānā was held in Kabul and in Balkhī, the Mawlānā's place of birth. On September 30, 2007, Iranian school bells were rung throughout the country in honor of Mawlānā. Also in that year, Iran held a Rumi week from October 26 to November 2. An international ceremony and conference were held in Tehran. The event was opened by the Iranian president and the chairman of the Iranian parliament. Scholars from 29 countries attended the events, and 450 articles were presented at the conference. Iranian musician Sharm Naziri was awarded the Legion d'Honneur and Iran's House of Music Award in 2007 for his renowned works on Rumi masterpieces. 2007 was declared as the International Rumi Year by UNESCO. Also on September 30, 2007, Turkey celebrated Rumi's 800th birthday with a giant whirling dervish ritual performance of the Sam, which was televised using 48 cameras and broadcast live in 8 countries. Ertuğrul Günay, of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, stated, 300 dervishes are scheduled to take part in this ritual, making it the largest performance of Sima in history. Mawlānā Rūmī Review. The Mawlānā Rūmī Review, ISSN 2042-3357, is published annually by the Center for Persian and Iranian Studies at the University of Exeter in collaboration with the Rumi Institute, Nicosia, Cyprus, and Archetype Books, Cambridge. The first volume was published in 2010 and it has come out annually since then. According to the principal editor of the journal, Leonard Louison, although a number of major Islamic poets easily rival the likes of Dante, Shakespeare, and Milton in importance and output, they still enjoy only a marginal literary fame in the West because the works of Arabic and Persian thinkers, writers, and poets are considered as negligible, frivolous, tawdry side shows beside the grand narrative of the Western canon. It is the aim of the Mawlānā Rūmī Review to redress this carelessly inattentive approach to world literature, which is something far more serious than a minor faux pas committed by the Western literary imagination.